Hey guys, welcome back to Fantasy Tip. My name is Julian, and in today's video, we're going to be reviewing some mock drafts. Last week, guys, I released a video, my top 100 forwards, and I said in the video, hey guys, if you want me to review your mock drafts, send me them. I'll review them. I'll review your actual teams too if you've already drafted, and I'm going to make a video on it to try to help other people out as well. So for everybody who submitted, I really appreciate it, and I'm going to get to your submission in just a minute. Before we get started, guys, please leave a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I'm trying to hit at least 1,000 subscribers this year, so every subscription really counts. Thank you so much, guys. Without further ado, we're going to review the very first mock draft. And the first one that I'm going to review is a mock draft that I actually did myself. And I was drafting third overall. So basically, by default, my first pick was Nathan McKinnon. If you're drafting third and McDavid and Draisaitl are already taken, McKinnon is the very obvious pick here. Now, because I drafted third in a 16-team league, I didn't get to pick again for a little while. And then I got to pick two picks very close together. I picked Pacioretty and Gensel. I probably should have picked them in the reverse order that I ended up picking them, but it ended up working out. And I'm good with that because Jake Gensel is your right winger, Pacioretty is your left winger, and you have a centerman. So right there off the bat, you have all three forward positions. Then I went along and I drafted my first goalie, which was UC Saros, and then right afterwards, I grabbed Brock Besser, which I think was a bit of a mistake because Nikolaj Ehlers was available and I didn't notice that. If you guys watch my rankings video, which I'm going to post right up there, I have Besser slightly below Nick Ehlers, but they are both good players this year. So Besser, still not the worst pick in the world. And at this point, I have a goalie and I have 4 forwards, but I am missing defense. So with the next pick, I go and I grab myself another forward, Jason Robertson, and I also grab myself Chris Letang. And like I mentioned in my Pittsburgh Penguins video, guys, I'm very okay with Chris Letang being the very first defenseman that you grab in your draft. He's going to produce elitely. He's going to be a top 10 defenseman this year. So that's looking pretty good. Then I get to about the 110 range. And like I've been saying all along, I noticed that David Perron was still available and he was set to be drafted pretty soon. So I went and I grabbed David Perron because this guy's going to get a point per game pace and he's being drafted super late. So he could be a real steal. And then I realized, okay, I still only have one defenseman. So I'm going to draft another one. And I drafted Zach Werenski. And I do think he's also going to have a really amazing season this year, being the only really #1 elite defenseman on his team. Then I went out and I got a bona fide #1 starting goalie who I think is the biggest steal in the entire draft in terms of goalies. Jacob Markstrom at 138. He's the only goalie in Calgary, guys, really, because their backup is Vladar. So Markstrom's going to get every single start besides the back-to-backs. And I think Calgary's going to be a fringe playoff team this year. So Markstrom is an insane steal at that ADP right now. Next, I grabbed Sean Couturier, guys. And just like I said in my Philadelphia Flyers video, guys, if you wait to grab your second center until around that range, Couturier is going to be sitting there. And it's going to be really nice because he's a point per game guy. And everyone else is probably stupid and grabbed all their centers already. So Couturier, there you go. Easy money, great value at that range. Then I went ahead and grabbed someone else who could slot in as a center, but also as a winger in Carter Verhaeghe. And he's also being ranked very low considering that he's going to be playing with Barkov and Reinhart on the top Florida lines on one of the best teams in the league. I like that, and that's why I grabbed him. And then a couple picks later, I went and I grabbed Keith Yandel, who's an absolute steal at his current ADP, considering that he is manning the Flyers' top power play. So he should put up at least a 40 to 45 point season, and where he's going in drafts, you can't go wrong with that. Then in the last few rounds, I decided to go with John Gibson and get myself a third goalie. I was so close, literally one pick away from being able to pick Cal Peterson as my third goalie. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to do it, so I did grab John Gibson. I don't think he's going to have that amazing of a season, but he is the starter, and Anaheim should get the majority of the starts. So if you're in a point-based league where like individual saves count for points, Gibson actually has some value because he should be able to still have a decent save percentage, but he's not necessarily going to win a lot of games. And then I grabbed Jonathan Toews because I couldn't resist. At 200, Jonathan Toews, like, are you kidding me? This guy could have a Jonathan Toews like season and have like 60 to 70 points, right? It's not out of the realm of possibility. So I couldn't resist having Jonathan Toews. That's one little thing I don't like about my team here is that I did draft 3 guys who are locked in a center. So if they ever all play on the same night, there's no way that I could start all 3 guys. Not a big fan of that, but I couldn't resist Jonathan Toews at basically 200th overall. And then with my last pick of the draft, I needed another defenseman. And so I grabbed Rasmus Andersson, who's basically not being drafted in any leagues right now, and I keep hyping this guy up. I don't think he's going to have like a 60-point season, don't get me wrong, but this guy is going to probably hit 40 points this year. He's going to get all the top power play time on Calgary. You can't really go wrong grabbing him as late as I did in the draft. There's literally nobody else, like even remotely like decent defenseman-wise when I grabbed Andersson. So if that's what you want to do with your last pick of the draft, you can. One thing that I did that I'm also not that crazy about is I usually like to grab a 5th defenseman. So if one gets injured, like you're not super screwed on defensemen. But in this case, my most likely defenseman to get injured is Letang. So if he does, I could always grab John Marino, who's his direct replacement. So my very first submission, guys, comes from Ronan from Twitter, and his league settings is like a point-based league. So a goal is worth 3 points, an assist is 2. Blocks is worth half a point. Shots and hits are 0.1 point, so not super valuable, but definitely still a factor. Goalies is also point-based, as you see on the screen. So it looks like this league doesn't have position lock, like no center, left wing, right wing. It's just forward and defense, which is fine. So he's got Rantanen. He's got Gensel. I definitely like Gensel this year. Is going to have a great year. Bergeron, I'm a little bit less high on Bergeron this year, but he still should have a great year. Like, how could you do badly playing alongside Marchand and Pasternak, right? Besser should have a great year, especially since Pettersson is signed now, and he should play alongside Pettersson the entire season. So I like that. Jason Robertson, unbelievable talent, had an amazing season last year. Kirby Dach, he's someone that I wanted to rank inside my top 100 players, but Chicago right now is playing Tyler Johnson on their top line with Kane and DeBrincat. If Tyler Johnson stays there and Dach stays on the third line where he's currently playing, he doesn't have as much value as I would like for him. But keep him for now and see if that changes. Pierre-Luc Dubois, I'm not super high on him either because his peripherals are really nothing. So if he doesn't produce points for you, he's really not going to get you anything on a given night. But he's not terrible either. I'd like to see how he opens the season before I consider dropping him. Jack Hughes, love that pick. He's an amazing talent. So definitely good pick there. Victor Arvidsson, yeah, I like him a lot this year. He's going to play top line, top power play with Kopitar. So he could have a real good bounce back year this year. I like that a lot. Cale Makar, looks like that's what you got with your second pick of the draft. That's pretty freaking good. I like Cale Makar. You can't go wrong. Tyson Barrie, well done. Well done. You have Makar and Barrie. You're going to win this league, man. Like, leagues are often won on your defense, and yours is looking strong, man. Makar, Barrie, and Letang. Oh my God, you have 3 of my top 10 ranked defensemen already. Doughty, can't go wrong with that. Vince Dunn has so much upside, in my opinion. If he does get the top power play in Seattle, and Seattle's power play actually gets going, Vince Dunn, gonna be a real steal. So I like that as well. Schwartz, why not, right? If Seattle plays the same underdog mentality that Vegas does, Schwartz could have a lot of value this year. Ryan Graves, I don't like Graves. I'd probably look elsewhere for a defenseman. I don't think Graves has basically any value this year. His plus minus was his main value last year, and he's not on Colorado anymore, so I don't think Graves is that great. So I'd probably look elsewhere. Let me know what other defensemen are on your team, and I'll help you find someone else to replace Graves. Zegras, why not, right? He's on your bench, and what if he lights it up this year, right? He could potentially win the Calder this year. I like Zegras' pick. Zuccarello, see, you've listened to my Minnesota Wild video. I like Zuccarello this year. He should be playing top line with Eriksson, Ek, and Kaprizov this year. Should probably get top power play with those guys too. I like Zuccarello a lot, and he's going really late in draft. Good job grabbing Zuccarello. Michael Bunting, he definitely is someone with a lot of upside this year. He should be playing with Nylander and Tavares, so I don't mind Michael Bunting as a very late pick. You told me that you grabbed him after the draft. I like that as well. Verona on your IR, that's good too. Verona should have a really strong season this year in Detroit. Your goalies, you waited for your goalies, which is something that I like. Demko and Jari, guys who should start like the majority of their games for their team. I like that a lot. And Samsonov should at least get 60% of the starts for Washington as well. So I like that as well. Overall, great team. And I like that you waited to grab a goalie. You didn't grab a Varlamov or a Sorokin or a Vasilevsky. I like that you waited to grab one of those later round steals like a Demko, like a Jari. Good job. Next, I got this submission from Gator, and this is also a points-based league. So let's take a quick look at his team. Looks like he had the second overall pick and grabbed Leon Draisaitl. Elise Lindholm, love that pick. DeBrincat, I like DeBrincat this year. He's going to have a great season. With Tyler Johnson as the center, I'm not as excited, but hopefully they write that and put Kirby Dach there. Nikolaj Ehlers, love that, and pretty good value where you got him. Teravainen could be a real steal this year. He's playing right now. He's practicing with Trocheck on that second line, so he could definitely produce this year. Tyler Toffoli, Yeah, I like Toffoli this year. Definitely had an inflated shooting percentage last year, but he has a really good line this year, so I'm not too worried about Toffoli. Victor Hedman, Tyson Barrie, Neil Pionk, very strong defensive core. Adam Boquist, not so high on that. Columbus is not a great team this year, and he's going to be that number 2 power play defenseman. I don't see him producing that much. He didn't even produce that much with the top power play in Chicago last year. So Boquist, I think he's going to be a bust this year. So not super high on that. But other than that, your goalies, Binnington and Bobrovsky. I like Binnington. I think he has a nice bounce back here. Bobrovsky, I'm not so high on. I think Spencer Knight definitely takes over this year for Florida. So Bobrovsky as your number 2 goalie, not crazy about it. Your number 3 goalie is Khudobin, and Khudobin, who knows how many games he's going to play also for Dallas. I'm not super crazy about that because Dallas right now has 4 goalies signed: Ottinger, Khudobin, Ben Bishop, and Holtby. So does Khudobin even get a third of the starts in Dallas? I don't know. So I'm staying away from Dallas goalies in general. So I don't really like the Khudobin pick, and I don't really like the Bobrovsky pick either. That being said, I like your Giroux pick, and I like the Schwartz pick. Monahan, not so much. I'm not high on Monahan at all. He's trending in the wrong direction. Overall, a decent team. Definitely a few tweaks could be made, but not too bad. My next submission comes as a YouTube comment from Carson Stone, and he asked me to rate his team in a 10-man league. So he's got Mark Scheifele, Rope Hintz, Kyle Connor, Jason Robertson, Kucherov, Marner, John Carlson, Dougie Hamilton, Ryan Ellis, Shabbat, Besser, Backstrom, Malkin, Jack Hughes, Connor Hellebuck, Cam Talbot. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. You have a bunch of guys that have a lot of upside. You have no one in there that I hate. The only guy that I'm not super crazy about is Malkin. Not the best pick in the world, probably, where you got him. But it's a 10-team league, so you probably didn't draft him too early anyway. And you can just stick Malkin on an IR spot and grab someone who's available in the free agency. So if you do have an IR spot, pretty good, and Malkin's going to have a lot of upside later on in the season. So I don't hate that at all. Your centers are looking great. Scheifele and Hintz both have crazy amount of upside. Kyle Connor, Jason Robertson, again, lots of upside there. Kucherov and Marner. I mean, you can't go wrong with your right wingers. And your defense are very strong as well with John Carlson, Dougie Hamilton. Shabbat is going to have a great year this year, and Ryan Ellis. Your goalies are insanely strong. You got a Hellebuck, and you got Cam Talbot. Both those guys should be getting the vast majority of their starts for their teams, and both teams are going to be winning a lot of games. So very well done. And this is a points-based league only with goals, assists, plus minus, and power play points. The only thing I'm not crazy about is Shabbat's potential plus minus, but he's going to score enough points probably to kind of outweigh that. You drafted a very, very strong team. Be very proud of yourself. You have a very good chance of winning your league this year. All right, let's do one last one, and this one comes from Quoc Thien Min Tran. Apologies if I mispronounced your name. This is a head-to-head points league. So first round, you got Nikita Kucherov, so I imagine you drafted top 5. Very well done. Sebastian Aho, Alexander Barkov, Gabriel Landeskog. All right, you drafted a lot of centers pretty early, but I still don't mind it because Landeskog does have that left-wing eligibility, so no harm done. Aaron Ekblad for your number 1 defenseman, don't mind that at all. UC Saros for your number 1 goalie. You know I love Saros, so well done there. Yossi for number 2, Shea Theodore for number 3, and Darnell Nurse for your number 4 defenseman. Wow, your defense are freaking stacked. So defense oftentimes do win you your championships, so very well done there. Tyler Seguin in the 10th round, that's an absolute steal. For a right winger, obviously, you have a lot of centers. You drafted a lot of centers, but obviously you're going to end up using them probably on their wing positions. Marchessault also the 11th round. I like that as well because Marchessault does shoot the puck a lot. So assuming that shots on goal is something that gets you points in your league, Marchessault is a very safe play every single night. Linus Ullmark, that late, I don't mind it as your second goalie because he's going to be the guy who's probably going to get the majority of the starts in Boston. Hopefully gets more than 50% of them, but I don't mind him that late in your draft. Then you got Willie Miller and Zach Hyman, both really good later picks. Well done. Mike Smith as a number 3 goalie, that's a very, very good option. And Patrick Laine as your last pick, I like that a lot because he's someone who could rebound and have a really great season. And worst case, he sucks again, you can drop him, right? Like you got him with your last pick of the draft. Very well done. I like this draft a lot. The only thing that I noticed here is that you did draft a lot of centermen. So, that's not my favorite thing. But you didn't draft more than 2 guys who are locked in as center. So you have some flexibility within your lineup, which is fine. So you did a great job here. And I think you're going to have a very strong season this year. And that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much to everyone who sent in their submissions. I really appreciate it, guys. Please hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I'll catch you in the next episode of Fantasy Tipped.